really want to, I think it's interesting that when you go to your website, the first thing you see is training in context.
Mm.
So could you unpack that for us a little bit? Because that is a really important part, and we're going to dive into that a little bit deeper. But why is context so important to
Mhm.
your lifestyle and what it is that you're deciding to do as a concealed carrier and making the decision to carry, and unpack why you decided to have training in context?
You said the word, and it's why. I've always
Mhm.
been the person who wants to know the why. I love the technical. I'm an engineering nerd. I love the mechanics. I love to dissect things. I want to know what the fish ate. I'll gut the fish just to see what the fish ate. That's I'm a Mainer. We do that stuff. But it's really where the rubber meets the road is why am I doing this? Why would I even why perform that reload? Why take the corner that way? Why pay attention in this manner? And it all comes down to the motivation that we have to even pursue this material at the range at all. And that's the context in which we would apply it in our daily life. And I feel very strongly that if you can explain concepts and ideas from a place of relevancy to the student beyond the range,
Mhm.
visualization activities and exercises that are really personalized to that person, the assimilation of knowledge is so rapid. They grasp it, they internalize it, and they can put it to
Mhm.
work in a much
It
more
means
meaningful.
something to them.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
when you're presented then, or when that student is presented with a complex problem to solve, accessing those tools or those concepts, those ideas, the skills becomes a much more natural and fluid progression because they understand why. They're not hunting amongst a multitude of cards to pick from. It
Mhm.
really resonates that this solution can be applied to these types of problems in the manner in which we introduce that knowledge. So
Mhm.
that's how I learn best. I
Mhm.
wanna know how it works. I wanna know why. I wanna know I ask for directions when I get lost, you know? I will pull over and ask directions. Um, so, I found that that has been very successful in my own journey through this, especially as I did all the fun classes and stuff. I did
Mhm.
the, you know, tactical fantasy band camp with guns,
Mhm.
and I did the
Yeah.
dress up in multicam and run around with plate carriers. Oh my gosh, it is so much fun. And if you can do it, you should totally do it. I've done all of those fun things, and the
Yeah.
athleticism, before tactical games, we were just bringing that level of athleticism to the range. When I was fit pre baby, we're gonna get there again. And all of that was fantastic and a very important and informative part of what I was doing. But truly, when I went home, how was I going to stage that firearm in my house? How did I
Mhm.
interpret my living space? How did I rearrange my furniture? And where did I put the nightlights down the hall? All of
Mhm.
those things that we talked about in classes, I literally was trying to bring home and put to work. And it was all about context. And the more I spoke with people, particularly women and young families coming to the table that were experiencing firearms and considering, they weren't committed, but they were considering bringing firearms into their life, they expressed the very same concerns, asked the very same questions. So, and it all came down to context. And
Right.
so I very
What does
strongly,
it mean to me in my life right now? And as you know, life changes, right? There are different chapters in our lives. So depending on where we are in our lives, things might change in how we decide to carry or stage things or whatever. Our mindsets might be different too. We're all on a different journey, and a different path.
absolutely.
But there are some parallels. So what are some of the whys that you hear or some of the concerns that you hear commonly?
Well, I'll share a story with you. There was a young woman in a class that I just recently taught, and she came in rather hesitant and a little apprehensive, as you would expect to a basic pistol for self defense class. And she shared a little bit more and more of her story as the 2 days of training progressed. From I'm new and I have this gun that my husband packed for me, down to the fact that her husband had just recently been shot in a drive-by shooting, and she has
Oh,
4 little children. So we're not talking about hypotheticals anymore for this individual. This is an
yeah.
individual who has, within the last year, experienced an ugly side of humanity, who has a very young family. And this is very real to this person. This is very, very real and palpable. So
Mhm.
everything that we did from the types of reloads and why you would perform them and under what conditions made sense to her. That made absolute sense to her. And the
Mhm.
stories we told about moving through spaces or solving problems within certain environments and distances that were relevant to her. So, for example, 3, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, 25. What do those distances mean for physical work?
Mhm.
They're convenient increments, is what they are. They're just
Mhm.
convenient range increments.
Mhm.
And that's not quite real. And that wasn't real for her. So we beg the question, what is the shortest distance in your home, right? From your pillow to your bedroom door. Let's take a short distance. What does that look like? Is it 2 yards, 2.5 yards? Okay. So now our up close distances are at that space. And take that mental snapshot of lifting your head up off the pillow, facing your bedroom door, and what does that look like? Right. So now let's think about what could the longest shot in your house be realistically from where you would be
Mhm.
working, sitting, standing to where someone could uh, show themselves, right, or appear uninvited and make themselves known in that space. If you're at the kitchen island, is there a side kitchen door? Would it be across the living room? Do you have an open concept house? That kind of idea. For some
Mhm.
people, the longest shot would be top of stairwell to bottom of stairwell, for example, right?
Mhm.
And then an interim living space distance. So suddenly the distances that we're working are mean something. They mean
Yeah.
something, and you see yourself in that space. And that distance has relevancy now in a way that it hasn't before. And that was a very powerful tool for her, as it was for
Mhm.
some of the other people in the program. And that's
Mhm.
just one example of the type of thing that we do to build contextual relevancy within the work that we're doing.
That's so important. So important and not done very often, I believe.
I
At least
feel like it's
not in a lot of
trending.
classes I've taken in the past.
I feel like it's something that's trending now. I feel like it's something that's
It's
um,
trending?
I hope it's catching on. I hope it's
Yeah.
growing. I hope we're building momentum.
Yeah.
It's always nice when people say that, you were a champion of this idea or this concept, and that's great. I appreciate somebody taking notice of that, but that's irrelevant to me. I would much prefer to see this kind of idea become mainstream. I think we all
Mhm.
benefit from that, and credit isn't necessary. It's the momentum of it that's powerful. That's what
Yeah.
makes me it's like, yes, we're doing we're doing it. We're getting there. This
Right.
is awesome.
Right, and
Yeah.
we're breaking through to people, and they're understanding it from their perspective because they when they come to a gun class, yeah, of course, they wanna learn the things, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times, they don't know what they don't know, and they're willing to admit that, but at the end of the day, they wanna know, "What does that mean to me in my
Mhm.
life?" You know? And that's a little bit different for everybody, so when you can help people realize that for themselves, that's so powerful.